everyone. Yeah, please feel free to take a seat. There are plenty of seats just here. Feel free to squeeze in. I know there's huge interest usually in the demo sessions. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's dedicated demo stage of the Global RegTech Summit. My name is Marian Dimitrov, and I'm Director of Research at Fintech Global. It's great to see everyone in person again after a long hiatus connecting over Zoom. But also I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone that's joining us online and streaming the sessions live. So before we go into today's demonstrations, I just wanted to give a quick thank you to our sponsors who have helped us put this great event together and be here again in person. Also would like to extend a huge welcome to the financial institutions that are in attendance today and are supporting us, and also to all the speakers and presenters that are sharing their insights with us today. As mentioned earlier, please do download the Brella app if you haven't done so. It's the best way. It's basically our way to connect our virtual and in-person attendees. You can schedule meetings straight into the app and either have them here if you're attending at the venue, or have a video call or video meeting with people that are joining us remotely. So it's the best way to reach out to everyone. Yes, so I just rushed up a little bit there to Cube, but obviously the demo session this year will be a little different if you've attended one of our demo sessions before the pandemic. So we have plenty of presenters here that's going to present on stage today. But also we have some presenters that were not able to attend due to travel restriction or other arrangements, so they've sent video recordings of their demonstrations. So obviously still the Brella app is the best way to get in touch and ask any questions you have about their product or services. So feel free to use that to ask them any questions, or for the presenters that are here in attendance, feel free to grab them in the lunch break after this session. So just to cover some ground rules, we'll start off a demonstration with from some of our clients, Cube, ApplyID, and Eversea, who have 15 minutes to present their solution before we go into our quick fire 5-minute demos from the companies that were selected by delegates. So I would just please ask everyone to stick to their allotted time, just to give equal opportunity to everyone and avoid overrunning. Obviously that puts some people that are at the back of the row, at the back of the queue at a disadvantage. So please do keep that in mind. With that being said, I would just ask all presenters to just come on stage as soon as the previous one is finished and have a quick transition. So just to kick things off, I will welcome Cube on stage and Rob Usher to just take us away. But yeah, enjoy. Thank you.
Great. Morning, everyone. My name is Rob, Solution Architect at Cube. It's great to be back at events like this. It's been a long time since we last did one. The format of today's sessions is quite brief, so difficult to go into the full details today. So what I'll aim to do is provide a contextual overview of what we do, and if any of that's of interest, please do come and see us after the session. So we are Cube, and we turn regulatory data into regulatory intelligence. We've been around for 10 years. We started life servicing Tier 1 banks and have since expanded our coverage to all shapes and sizes of financial services institution. Excuse me. The way that our solution works at its simplest is we seek to align global regulation with our customers' internal frameworks more closely. And we do that using AI. Those of you who would have caught my colleague Yin's keynote speech at the beginning will have been given a good insight into how that works. But at its simplest, we're machine reading the regulatory internet and classifying all of that content against our proprietary ontology. So we have a team of SMEs internally who have broken down all regulatory topics throughout all sectors of the industry to give us a way of identifying common themes and topics across different jurisdictions and different regulators. We're then able to leverage that classification to map to the customer's environment, to your environment. And so that means a number of things, but essentially automating and improving efficiency across that initial phase of identifying regulatory change, understanding the implications of it, where the impacts lie within your business, and therefore what needs to be done in response to it. And we can, as I say, automate much of that initial process right up to impact analysis and workflowing of onward activities. Now, this process starts with capturing the data, and we are across the whole globe. We cover all jurisdictions, 180 countries, and I think just under 600 jurisdictions if you take into account provinces and states. And we are spidering those sources daily to pick up updates. And this is a screenshot of our web crawlers in action yesterday. So we are truly global in our coverage. We have around 3,000 issuing bodies in our data lake currently. And we're able to process over 60 languages into English. And that's the second phase of the process. Once we've captured the information, we're then translating it into English. These are the 60 languages here. And as part of that translation, the tool is understanding the context of the regulatory publication. So it's not something like Google Translate. It's a thematic or conceptual translation engine that has a number of dictionaries and thesauruses that are based on financial services terminology. So the accuracy of that translation is very high, and we spend a lot of time on ensuring that. The accuracy of that translation is key for us because it drives what happens further down our AI transformation process. And that is the classification. So we use natural language processing to machine read the text, and then semantic modeling to understand the context right down to the section level. So we're doing that at the book level, the chapter, the section, paragraph, right down to the rule or individual article. And it's, as Yin pointed out, it's beyond keyword searching. I get asked the question a lot, so you're just looking for keywords within the text, but it's a contextual classification. So it doesn't need to say the keyword within the text for us to be able to identify what it's talking about. And that means that we're then able to use this in a number of different use cases downstream. So we are identifying within the text things like the sectors that it relates to, the products, the customer types, or indeed the regulatory theme, such as conduct, prudential cyber, and so on. Alongside the thematic classification, we're then identifying any imperatives. So these are the things that indicate there is something to be done. And we rank those obligations or imperatives by strength. So is it a strong obligation where you must comply or you must report? Or is it the language slightly weaker in that, this is, you should do this or could? And so together, that gives the user a very strong basis for understanding what that regulation is about. And this is all done before the user sees any of this content. So this whole transformation process happens at the point of acquisition, after the regulator has published it, before it's then presented to the user. So we have this huge amount of data that we're capturing and classifying, but we need to make that relevant and specific to our customers. And so this is where we produce a profile of that content to ensure relevancy for each and every user in our customer's environment. So that involves understanding the regulatory footprint of the customer, the jurisdictions that you operate in, the legal entities within those jurisdictions, and the business processes and products that are being offered in those regions. We can then go away and use our AI classification to essentially query our global inventory of regulations to understand what we think you should be complying with in those regions. And that's one of the first things that we deliver as part of a Cube implementation is, here is your baseline. This is what we think is your gap-free inventory of obligations. As part of that process, there is a delta review that we do with our customers to understand if there are things in there that they're not interested in, or if there are things that we haven't picked up, in which case we'll go and get them. But the aim here is low noise and high relevancy. And this is really the first job that Cube does, is to ensure that compliance and legal teams are able to jump straight to the information that's important to them without having to waste time searching and trying to find those updates that are important. So once all of that is done, the user then sees the information that's important to them. And the experience of the user is through our Reg platform, which has a number of modules, and we, again, can control the UI experience through functional access as well as thematic content access. And we have a number of core modules, which are the ones in green there. So Reg Book is your inventory, which is obligations management. Reg Insight is forward-looking, horizon scanning information, what's coming down the pipeline. Reg Profile we've spoken about already. And the ontology underpins it all. That's where the clever stuff happens. There are some additional capabilities around workflow, reporting, connectivity to other applications, which we'll talk about in a minute, as well as on-screen dashboarding and visualizations. So this is provided as a SaaS solution. It's modular on a subscription basis. So what then does the customer do with that content? So the whole regulatory change, or the end-to-end management of regulatory change, can be done within Cube, and we have a number of customers that use us as a standalone solution. But we recognize that we also need to be able to be part of a wider ecosystem of applications. And so Cube's been built with that in mind. We've got a bidirectional API, which enables us to bring information in from other systems, policy tools, GRC, control libraries, and so on, to facilitate mapping of regulations to those things. And we can then send that information back out to be consumed by downstream systems. So Cube is the engine that enables you to see relevant content mapped to your internal environment. It can then be federated out across business lines and used by parts of the organization as necessary. So what does that mean then for our customers in summarizing? A single golden source of global regulatory information. No need to spend time searching through many websites, scraping information into spreadsheets, emails, and so on. We have the world's most granular regulatory content in terms of breadth, but also depth. And by that I mean users and organizations have the ability to choose at what level their obligations are broken down. So they can go more granular or group them into a more simple obligations environment. You have improved oversight, so you can operate a centralized management of compliance whilst also federating out some of those more first-line responsibilities to regional teams. You're not reliant on translation, for example, from different regions. You have more or less real-time translation as the content is brought in. We've spoken about low noise and high relevancy, removing all of that extraneous information, ensuring that you're focusing on what's important. And this can drive significant efficiencies across your processes. We've benchmarked some of our customers' processes for managing obligations across multiple jurisdictions and identified savings of around 70% on those manual processes. So it's a significant time saving, which allows those analysts to focus on the higher value tasks and really deliver the value that they're paid to do. So this really was just a high-level introduction to what we do. If you'd like to find out more, please do come and see us at the booth outside. I'll be happy to take you through it in more detail. We also have a Cube arcade game for you to try your hand at. If you top the scoring chart, there is a bottle of champagne up for grabs, so do come and see us. Thank you very much.
Sorry, did you say we have 15 or 5? 15. Oh, cool. I had a bit of a heart attack when you said 5, I thought before. Hey everyone, I'm Toby Taylor, the sales manager in the UK for ApplyID, is how you pronounce it. A lot of our customers get it wrong, quite difficult. We are brand new to the UK as of a few weeks ago, so I'm sure this is an accent that you aren't all familiar with. I've just got on the plane from New Zealand, where we actually started the business back in 2018. So new office over here, although a very well-established company in New Zealand and Australia. What we do, we really specialise in, if this changes, there we go, one more. We specialise in customer onboarding. So customer onboarding, given we're at a RegTech conference, often falls into AML, but it's really any industry, whether it be for fraud prevention, car rentals, all sorts of different environments need to onboard customers in a remote fashion. Especially at times because of COVID, with everyone doing things remotely, it's really put an emphasis on this sort of technology. So our backgrounds across the company are all in customer onboarding and credit, really, before the business was started. And what we've tried to do is just create the most simplified method to onboard anyone remotely, while also, of course, having those robust checks for AML, KYC, and essentially that fraud prevention. We, as I mentioned, started off in New Zealand and Australia, quite a small font, sorry, servicing plenty of different markets. Finance is obviously one that we all know has a big burden from the compliance, but lawyers, accountants, real estate, crypto, any industry, you name it, it is a problem for them. So the market is really huge out across there. A few of our clients, there unfortunately aren't many global brands in little old New Zealand. So even the largest law firms and things that we have, none of you would ever have heard of. But we do have the likes of these global brands on board. And then we also have, to be quite honest, two-person teams. The product is scalable in many different ways to suit any industry, market, vertical, and can be deployed with different levels of complexity to ensure it is actually tailored for your business and your needs. I keep referencing the one product, really, our core biometric solution, but we do actually have a range of different solutions in our kit bag, from credit checking, bank account verification, even online application form building. Lots of different things to fit your market, whatever it may be, with the core emphasis being on ID verification and AML. Just a few competitions and awards we've been up for down the bottom. One of the other guys demoing was actually at this RegTech startup. Again, probably too small to see, which was a laugh running into him. Our products are all available in a SaaS platform. So if you wanted, you could literally go on your phone right now, create an account, and have a tool that quickly. We do, of course, have APIs to do complex integrations and scale it to the nth degree, but that speed to market approach is really valuable for people being able to just get their hands on banking-grade technology that quickly. It's been a real game changer. I will show a demo, of course, of the core solution, and it is very short. It's, as I say, a lot behind the scenes, but it's only a 2-minute journey to onboard anyone. The process is simple. All it is sending a text message link through to whoever needs to be onboarded. They click on that link, no apps to download, none of that nonsense. Follow a simple 90-second process, and they're all done, with the results, of course, going back to your teams. So that, if the clicker works, it should be popping up here. You can see with the timer on the right-hand side. So this is me going through it. I use a New Zealand ID, of course. We do, of course, support the UK. Just unfortunate that I haven't yet gone and got my license. The flow, as I mentioned, it is all web-based, so I haven't previously downloaded an app. I can't stress that enough. And the flow that you're going to see, it's branded for ApplyID, but we can customize it to your company. In that text as well, there was a little 0800 support line for your clients to call. So if they have questions, they can go through to our team. A little bit grainy in the video, unfortunately, but you can see here me just keying in my address, which will be behind the scenes, actually going and verifying that address to remove the need to provide utility bills, proof of address documents. I'm sure you've all done it before, quite a pain. And then it's really just taking a picture of your license or your passport, for the UK at least, depends which country you're in, with a few simple instructions to try and make it, we say idiot-proof, essentially, with prompts. This is where, of course, the ID would pop up, but I don't want the whole world to have my license and then committing fraud as me. So, of course, it's blurred out for the purposes of the video. We have optical character recognition in there, OCR, to actually extract all of the information, pre-fill a form for the client. So the whole way through, all they key in is a few characters of their address, and it ensures the entities that are our clients are getting legal credentials from the clients instead of them typing in, Ben instead of Benjamin, whatever it might be. All the information pulled off here, and then it's just through to the biometric capture to actually link the person to the ID that they are claiming. We try to make it a little bit of fun with the smiley there, and it speaks out loud to you. I don't think this will have audio, so you won't hear it, but it literally says, please give a big smile, and then please turn your head left or right, which you'll see me embarrassingly do here. I've done this a lot. And that's basically it. You can see the timer there. You don't have to mark my words, 90 seconds. And that will be essentially proving beyond any reasonable doubt that I am that person and all my information has been backed up from different data sources behind the scenes. The results go back to a portal that would set your teams up with, or of course, if it's integrated to your back-end systems. It would have been a bit of a nightmare to take all the screenshots of the portal and put them in this slide. So what I've done instead is just downloaded a PDF extract from the portal and then put that in here, which I know is absolutely tiny. And again, more embarrassing showing my face, but showing you the gist of what the process would be. We don't store any data is one of our key focal points. With the global brands that you saw on the first few slides, we obviously built a platform to a standard that would be capable of it. It's more to keep yourselves and the end clients happy that I can't go in and see them smiling or see their IDs. So this is essentially what you're left with, of course, images of the client and the document. And then proof. There are a few different things on there that are being done, but one, tampering checks. So this is actually checking the authenticity of the document, making sure someone hasn't superimposed an image on top of it or altered the text, essentially that they haven't forged an ID. Classic example would be if they've found an ID, purchased one off the dark web, and put their own face over the top. It's going to flag those sorts of things to ensure you have no bad risk going through there. The ApplyID, lots of different green ticks here. AML section is all about that data verification. Firstly, PEP and sanctions are obviously included that you need to have, and then verifying the name, date of birth, and address through different credit bureaus behind the scenes. Again, depends where you are in the world. This will, of course, vary. And then the biometric checks on the right-hand side. 2 checks being done, which I'm sure a lot of you know you need to do, both likeness and liveness. So, A, confirming that it is me in the document, and then with those video prompts, confirming that I'm a real live person. Not a pre-recorded video of that person, or just a picture that you've got off their LinkedIn profile, whatever it may be. And that's essentially what it's doing. So it's that tough mix of trying to make it as robust and efficient as it possibly can be, while not cumbersome for the client, which over the last few years we believe we've nailed, and we're lucky to have hundreds of clients who give us feedback every day. And with the way that it's built in a SaaS product, we're constantly evolving it from the client's feedback instead of just having individual versions. And that is pretty much us. There's a lot more behind the scenes, like I say, credit checks, form building, all these different things. But just wanted to give a quick snippet of the solution, the core biometric one that we have. Given it's so easy to set up and takes 2 minutes, we're a big fan of free trials. Go for gold, fill your boots. So if you do want it, honestly, a month, no costs, no setup times, no nothing. Just get in touch with my details there. That big QR code is to my LinkedIn. I'm trying to be a bit techie there. Or, of course, just come by the booth and have a conversation. We can figure out how it works for you. But that's me. Didn't need the full 15 minutes. Quick solution. But cheers for listening in.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ron Teicher. I'm the founder and president at Eversea. Thank you very much for joining us on this session today. Today, I want to talk about how we're applying technology to expose and prevent online money laundering. Before I do that, I want to just say a few words about Eversea. So at Eversea, we do what we do because we want to create a crime-free internet where people and organizations can easily and safely identify opportunities for growth. Our mission is to develop technology that creates visibility and transparency of the internet that will make our vision a reality. We are honored to be working with some of the largest players in the payments industry across North America, EMEA, and Asia Pacific. And we are a proud partner of the top global card networks. So before we go into the technology and the product, I want to spend just a few moments talking about the problem. And the problem that we're dealing with is money laundering, conducted online by criminals who are taking advantage of the ease of setting up new merchants in the age of online and e-commerce. Let's talk about some basic definitions here. So money laundering is the process by which criminals disguise the original ownership and control of the proceeds of criminal activity by making such proceeds appear to have derived from a legitimate source. Transaction laundering is the process whereby a merchant processes a payment card transactions on behalf of another merchant without the knowledge or consent of the acquiring bank, PSP, or processor. So in short, and because we don't have a lot of time to get into this today, transaction laundering is money laundering online. So how does it work? The very simple scenario, or the basic scenario, is the following. Let's say I'm a drug dealer and I want to sell my illegal products online. If I came to the bank and asked to open a merchant account, I will be rejected as part of the KYC processes, as the merchant bank will not accept merchants who are selling something illegal or against their acceptable use policy. So instead, I will set up a legitimate looking website selling something that would be considered low risk. Could be a bookstore or flower shop, etc. I will pass the KYC checks at the bank. And now I will also create another website, this time with my illegal products or services. It will not be connected to a payment environment, but will be available online and appear to have a payment form. The users or consumers that want to buy my illegal products and services will be able to do so. I will take their payment data, I will funnel them through my bookstore, and will complete the transaction. So take the payment data here to myself, funnel it to the legitimate website, and complete the transaction. The buyer is happy since his transaction is marked as low risk transaction and doesn't get him in trouble for purchasing an illegal or problematic service or product. The bank is happy because as far as the bank is concerned, it has a low risk merchant that is conducting low risk transactions and drives business to the bank. And I'm, as a drug dealer, I'm very happy because my drug business is thriving. But what ultimately happens here is that the bank is facilitating drug deals. This is a very common phenomenon today. We can see this all across the world in all levels of banking and payments industries. So what can we do about it? At Eversea, we had to overcome 4 significant technological challenges. One, we collect everything that exists on the internet. We are looking at over 650 million top-level domains, and this number continues to grow, billions of subdomains, and trillions of data endpoints that are managed in the database. How do you collect everything? How do you store everything? How do you keep it up to date? These are all very big challenges. Second, we have a major effort around machine learning and auto-classification of everything the system collects. So the machine is able to identify what does each website represent. Is it a bookstore, a flower shop? Is it in France, Sweden? Maybe it's just a blog about something. So massive effort around auto-classification of these sites. Third, the system then decrawls into these entities and identify interesting data points. This has challenges around unstructured data identification and extraction. And then all this information is then fed to the gigantic graph database with business logic that was built over many years that is able to connect and surface legitimate connections between any two online entities. This has proven to be extremely effective in uncovering situation of transaction laundering between a seemingly legitimate business and an undisclosed, unknown, illegal merchant. In this example over here, we are visualizing an exercise that we did for a top bank in North America, where we were asked to analyze a merchant. You can see in the image a big blue dot, which represent the merchant in question that was provided to us by the bank for analysis. The other two blue dots represent the other known URLs of this merchant. All the other dots, however, represent data that was found online and has some sort of association, affiliation, or relation to the merchant. By being able to uncover all this information, we were able to look for data points that may connect to the merchant, to a problematic activity. We then trying to understand the strength of the connection, and then are able to surface to the bank when necessary these associations, this connection, this additional risk that the merchant represent. In this particular example, we're able to uncover an undisclosed operation of the merchant in Iran. You can see all the green dots represent a legitimate country of operation, all non-sanctioned. And then in the distance, you can see a red dot that represent operation in Iran, which is against the bank policy, as Iran is considered sanctioned country according to the bank policy. So now let's move on to the product. So let me start by logging in. So I'm logging into the system. And what I will see when I get in is the executive dashboard. I can see the breakdown of risk of my portfolio. I can see the amount of potential transactional laundering activity that I have in my portfolio. And I can see the breakdown of risk of the undisclosed associated merchants, the ones that I don't know that are connected to my merchants, and what's their risk breakdown. Then I can move into the summary tab and look at the information per merchant and kind of understand where are the riskier merchants that I want to look at. Here in this view, we can see very similar to the previous clip. You can see the merchant in question in the center, and then all around it is the unknown URLs connected to the merchant that were found by the system and marked with their level of risk. In the Finding tab, you'll see that, again, this representation, so the known URL, seem to be a nutraceutical operation, considered to be medium risk, not too alarming. However, as the system was able to uncover, this merchant is very closely connected to at least 4 critical activity merchants. In this particular example, looking at an illegal business selling prescription drugs without prescription. This is, of course, very dangerous to the consumers, anybody who would consume a prescription drug without prescription. Don't know the origin of this medicine. We can also look at how the system was uncovering. You can see they're connected by phone and by email, which is a very, very strong connection. So both businesses owning a very unique identifiers, which are essentially the same, which means they are very, very closely related. So with this type of activity, the bank is then able to suspend the activity of the seemingly legitimate merchant, and by doing so, prevent the operation of this illegal activity of selling of illegal prescription drugs to consumers and potentially hurting them. As we said, this phenomena is very, very common today, unfortunately. The number I want to highlight here is the 6 to 10%. So basically what we're saying is there are 6 to 10% additional merchants processing through the financial institution above the known size of the portfolio of that financial institution. So if we go to a bank and they tell us they have 100,000 merchants, we'll tell them, we'll show you, you have 6,000 to 10,000 more merchants currently processing through you, and you know nothing about them. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they do. You don't know where they're from. Nothing. You don't even know that they exist. And that is very, very dangerous, because that's exactly where the criminals, the terrorists will hide. That is how they will, enjoy the payment system and be able to enjoy the fruit of their crime money. So utilizing this type of technology will help to prevent these criminals, terrorists, to do just that. That's about all the time that we had for today. I hope I was able to give you a glimpse into how technology can fight online crime, and specifically transaction laundering, which is money laundering online. Please contact us at eversea.com for any further questions or information. Thank you so much for joining the session. I hope you found it productive. Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, it's both an honor and a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity of representing my company, Ondaro. My name is Venus. I am the Business Development Manager, and I'm excited to tell you all about what we do and why we started doing it in the first place. So, as the customer screening and onboarding processes have been swiftly transitioning into the digital landscape, a number of unexpected challenges have occurred simultaneously. During the previous year alone, banks and financial institutions were fined for more than $10 billion for Know Your Customer and other compliance violations. In addition, studies show that global losses related to identity fraud have been steadily increasing over the last several years, reaching more than $43 billion in 2020. And these, however, are only some of the crucial issues that are causing headaches for organizations who are looking to optimize their customer management processes. And that is why, in 2018, a group of experts in the digital banking and financial sectors who really understood the pains of these organizations started developing Ondaro, a complete operating system for customer compliance management. The Ondaro operating system works according to a plug-and-play principle of a SaaS, where all the integrated models can be easily controlled under one single platform through a customizable interface. The integrated models cover the entire process of customer management, starting from remote verification of both physical and legal entities, biometric user authentication and background screening, all the way to company due diligence, data monitoring, and risk scoring. So the combination of these tools allows organizations to be certain at all times that they are doing business only with trusted clients. What's even better is that the Ondaro operating system helps organizations significantly reduce customer onboarding and compliance costs, as well as the need for extensive IT or human resources, while simultaneously improving their digital processes and implementing bulletproof security measures. And as you can see, during the short period of its existence, Ondaro has already received recognition for its innovation and effort. We've won multiple awards as the Fintech of the Year. We've been shortlisted as a future unicorn by Digital Europe. And we've managed to attract a substantial amount in funding, which has allowed us to become the first company in Europe post-Brexit to open its headquarters in London. And to be honest with you, we've grown quite significantly over the last years, which has allowed us to open 6 offices in Europe, with Vilnius being our main research and development branch. In addition to that, we've managed to onboard over 100 new clients in 2021, and today we're proud to say that we're doing business with more than 250 organizations from all over the world. Of course, none of that would have been possible without our wonderful team, which has recently grown to over 180 members. And these, as you can see, are the front runners behind Ondaro, with, of course, Liudas Kanapienis himself as our CEO. And that is all that I have for today. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions at all, or simply would like to exchange insights about the Fintech and RegTech centers, you can easily find myself and my colleague Julius during the conference. It would be our pleasure to tell you more about Ondaro's progress. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Klaas Humschoot. I'm one of the founders of BeFine, and today I would like to introduce you to our regulatory reporting platform, BRX. With our platform, BRX, we are actually leading financial institutions to the next era of regulatory reporting. But of course, before we look at the next era, let's first look at the current era and the issues that banks are currently facing when producing their regulatory returns. So I think it's not a surprise for most of you that since the financial crisis of 2007-2008, banks have been exposed to regulatory tsunami. What we have seen is that this resulted in a lot of new data and reporting requirements, and also in the onboarding of some new stakeholders, like for example, for the liquidity reporting, the Treasury Department became involved in the overall reporting process. Of course, there was already finance, but risk also take up a more predominant role in the overall process. However, what we've seen at most banks is that all those new requirements were built on top of their existing systems. And so they ended up with quite some cumbersome processes and really scattered data flows. And this resulted, of course, in a lot of control and oversight, and so this led to too late deliveries, inconsistent reports, and even regulatory fines. A nice example of that is what happened with Citigroup. They received a fine of almost $60 million of reporting inconsistencies in their liquidity returns. And I think also the latest letter that was published by Bank of England and the PRA on the Dear CEO also revealed that the fact that banks don't pay enough attention to how they produce their regulatory reports. So there is so I think there the problem is really clear. We should rethink the way banks are producing their regulatory returns, and that is actually why we launched our platform BRX. So with BRX, we want to do it differently. With our BRX solution, we actually say goodbye to report on-premise oriented systems, and we really welcome a cloud-native, user-centric solution where it's easy to collaborate and easy to keep a comprehensive overview of all the reporting processes that are running on the platform. And if you combine that with the smart workflows that are embedded in the platform, you actually will never miss a regulatory deadline again. That's something we really promise. And so actually through our platform, submitting your reports was actually never that easy. And also good to know is that all information, communication, documentation that is linked to the reports can be stored centrally in the platform. And so there, the platform really acts as a regulatory knowledge hub. So actually, you don't longer need to fear any questions of regulators, auditors. It's all in the platform, and you could even give them access to the platform in a read-only mode so that they can retrieve all the information directly linked to that report. So how it was produced, all the audit trail, the versioning, it's actually all there. And of course, when we say compliance, we also are aware of the costs that comes along it. So we really focus on the overall TCO of a reporting solution, and we do that through, first of all, using by leveraging on the latest technology. So we have a full cloud native solution, and secondly, we are leveraging on the open data building blocks that our regulators are already providing. So for example, if you look at from a European context, the European regulators like the European Banking Authority already provides a lot of information. There are also some new initiatives like BIRD, IREF at the European level, where you can really leverage on, and a lot of information is already provided through those regulators. And of course, thirdly, we also have our own marketplace, which makes it possible to compose the reporting platform tailored to your needs. So actually there you only pay for what you really need in your overall reporting process. So that's what we cover in our marketplace today. You can easily link with, depending on the value proposition you need, we can easily link with a lot of other solutions like risk engines, data governance platforms. Do you want to have an additional data quality checks on your reports? That's quite easy to integrate. The regulatory knowledge hub we mentioned, so all information is really centralized in the platform. You can link from the report back to the ITS, to the RTS, so you don't really need to be any longer an expert in regulation. The platform will help you in understanding what is actually need to be reported and what information is really required from a regulator. And of course, we are data-centric. I think we are close to end the era of report-centric solutions. So there, of course, the focus is really on the data. Sorry. And in only 4 years, I think the BeFine team grew from only 2 founders up to a team of 36 people. And so there, if you engage with BeFine, you don't only have access to a fantastic platform, but also with access to a lot of regulatory expertise. Today, I think already more than 20 financial institutions are counting on BeFine to transform their inefficient reporting processes to an effective data and reporting supply chain. So if you are always facing reporting deadlines, if you are faced with high costs of running your reporting processes, don't hesitate to talk with us. We have a booth over here. We can explain you briefly how what is our approach and how we can help you in decreasing your overall regulatory burden. Thanks a lot for listening.
In the fast-paced digital enterprise environment, speed and scale are critical competitive advantages. Enabling risk management in day-to-day activities is key to establishing an effective GRC program. OneTrust GRC is a first-line friendly application that enables businesses to build a flexible foundation to model their organizational structure and realize the extent of their risk exposure. Access data across enterprise systems and maintain an evergreen database with our extendable platform. Sync, share, or validate data with rich sources such as your CMDB and daily task or enterprise management applications such as Jira, Salesforce, and more. OneTrust GRC IT and security risk management helps you map and measure risk against a variety of asset inventories throughout your IT infrastructure, such as physical servers or IT projects. Utilize our flexible scoring methodology to calculate meaningful values for your business, and realize the extent of your risk exposure with complete threat and vulnerability mapping. Align your risk mitigation efforts to a control framework or standard of your choice, such as NIST, ISO, HIPAA, and more. Or create a hybrid approach to measure against multiple frameworks and unique controls to your business. OneTrust GRC Vendor Risk Management allows you to document your extended enterprise and manage risk across third-party relationships that are tied to your supply chain and operations. Initiate new vendor engagements and identify risks with automated assessment technology. Access a database of vendor profiles and utilize pre-completed assessments to streamline vendor evaluation. Leverage our vendor chasing services to follow up and track assessment completion on your team's behalf. Stay up to date with the latest enforcement actions and breach activity with your vendors or within relevant industries. OneTrust GRC Privacy Management gives you the toolset to institute privacy by design and maintain compliance with expanding privacy legislation, utilizing purpose-built features to identify sensitive information such as personal identifiers. Manage the collection and processing of personal data throughout your organization and across consumer touchpoints. Implement a consent model to inform consumers and collect explicit consent records. Scan your website and digital platforms to identify tracking technologies and deploy dynamic cookie banners to inform visitors and enhance their web experience. OneTrust GRC Enterprise and Operational Risk Management helps businesses assess risk in line with business objectives and across your organization. By applying context to risk quantification and connecting to additional enterprise applications, OneTrust GRC supports a holistic top-down or bottom-up view of your risk profile. Deliver meaningful reporting to your peers and translate risk to board-level executives for actionable insights. OneTrust Policy Management enables companies to draft, collaborate, and distribute documented guidelines for business operations across your enterprise. Align policy content to relevant controls and risk management frameworks to measure compliance and policy application. Distribute corporate policies throughout your organization and confirm receipt as well as understanding. Measure attestation and enforce knowledge and understanding. OneTrust Audit Management enables businesses to apply a risk-based approach to internal auditing efforts. Transform auditing processes to a dynamic measure of logged activity, in or out of line with your policy guidelines, regulatory mandates, and overall risk appetite. Kickstart audit efforts with pre-planned work papers and a centralized platform to initiate interviews, test control design and effectiveness, attach evidence, and summarize findings, as well as provide recommendations to improve areas of concern or where there is potential to optimize processes. OneTrust Incident Management helps your team eliminate the subjective analysis of incident scope and response. Investigate across applicable jurisdictions and compliance frameworks to identify issues of non-compliance, document circumstances, and create a thorough response plan for future guidance. Utilize guided workflows and recommendations to follow appropriate regulatory requirements and track progress. Align your response plan with the relevant control framework to monitor activity. Link incidents to risk and evaluate potential impacts on your business and bottom line. And document and retrieve historical archives to review and enhance plans for future operations. With OneTrust GRC, your organization can combat traditional, digital, and emerging threats inside your organization and across third-party relationships. Establish and measure the adoption of enterprise-wide policies. Streamline audit execution and incident response. And engage stakeholders to support risk management initiatives throughout your enterprise operations. To learn more, connect with our team, or start a free trial, visit OneTrustGRC.com.
Okay, hello. I'm Valerie, and I will explain you how Appway is minimizing costs by orchestrating regulation. As we speak, every 30 seconds, a new relationship is created with Appway, from a very simple one to a very complex one. It's now more than 25 years that we are onboarding customers, helping financial services businesses to manage this by fully digital workflow. Many customers trust Appway, like HSBC, Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, and many analysts are recognizing this Appway expertise. It is done thanks to a powerful platform that orchestrates data, documents, rules, and people. We pre-package workflow like the onboarding one to speed the delivery, but today we will speak about the KYC and regulatory review. We are also connecting the disconnecting and thus orchestrating many systems. We see certainly some providers that you are used to work daily. And we fix costly processes by reducing the manual and the fragmented activities and to avoid making mistakes, paying fines, and losing customers. As you can see in this quote, what can take 15 days can take minutes with Appway. Let's go now in the demo of our review workspace.
With Appway, you can have a fully digital review process for any compliance check. We will show you how. Let's meet the people involved in the review. Ben, Relationship Manager, Jane, the client in question, and Maria, Compliance Officer. Now we can start the review. The Relationship Manager receives a notification in the Appway inbox. This legal entity review was automatically triggered by a core banking system as a result of the risk change. Appway is built with compliance in mind. Every step is predefined with global and local rules to guide employees through the complex process. Our RM lands on dashboard to see a complete overview of the case, understand what triggered the review and what actions to take next. To provide the context, Appway pulls data from any internal system, like risk management or records keeping, or external, like screening or ID verification. Let's check Acme Corporation to get more details on related parties. Here, we can get a visual representation of client relationship with necessary information and verify structure of the account. The settle in the account causes the issue. We can drill down into this party. To get to the bottom of things faster, the data is grouped and compared to highlight changes. Finally, we know what triggered this review. Jane Smith moved to a new high-risk country. Once the context is clear, the RM can comment and get a reply from stakeholders, in our case a compliance officer, to understand how to proceed. Appway makes collaboration with employees and clients easy and intuitive, with traceable feedback. The risk level change requires all parties to be rescreened. The screening is automatically triggered at the start of the review. The results are pulled in from various screening providers. Some results can be dismissed, while some will impact the risk level. After the green light from the compliance officer, RM can now continue the review. There are additional documents to be collected from the client, and with the system's guidance, it will be easy to do. First, RM can check account documents existing or missing. You can review everything in one place with an option of requesting multiple documents and tracking requests for audit and SLA purposes. Then, Ben prepares and sends a message to the client in Appway without switching applications. Jane, our client, received Ben's requests by email. She can easily and securely log in the system and upload her documents directly. They get collected and distributed automatically. Back to RM. All he needs to do is track the status of the requested documents, preview them, and ensure the documents are valid. No need to manually attach anything. Ben's tasks are completed. He is allowed to proceed and pass the ball to the compliance officer. The compliance officer, Maria, can now start her work. She has an audit trail available to see what was changed within or between reviews. Maria can access any document, generate reports, approve the review directly, or send it further. Once a review is complete, the data in core banking system will be updated. With Appway's pre-packaged and cloud-ready solution, get 3 C's: compliance, context, and collaboration for frictionless and auditable review process.
I hope that you understand better what Appway is doing with the review workspace, and I'm really happy to discuss further during the day what is the value proposition. Thanks a lot.
So I have to zip forward, yeah.
Morning everyone, great to be here. Fantastic to be out of the kitchen and actually with humans. So my name's Steve Moody, I'm Chief Innovation Officer at iASiS. iASiS is an AI company focused in financial services, part of the Symphony AI group, which is one of the largest B2B AI companies in the world with 300 million in revenue. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is a completely new approach that we've developed over the last 2 years for combating money laundering in all its forms. I'm going to start with a controversial statement. Anyone who works in the industry will probably look at this and go, what is this guy talking about? But I want to prove to you today that actually this is becoming true. Money laundering is easy to detect if you apply a completely new way of looking at the problem. And that's what I'm going to try and convince you of today. Obviously, it's an extremely hard problem. It requires a completely new way of thinking about the problem, but we believe we've cracked it, and many of our customers are now on a journey of realizing these benefits. So if you go back to first principles, why does the existing transaction monitoring environment, which is mainly what I'm going to talk about today, really completely fail? 99% false positives, noise, and a huge amount of missed risk. No one really understands what the true amount of financial crime out there in the industry is. We're starting to uncover what it really is. The key is most of the old systems, because they were built 20 years ago, actually throw away most of the information. They throw away where the money goes. They concentrate on the transactional profile of an individual or a business, but they don't follow the money. And as we know, money laundering is a follow money problem. Where does it go? Who do you pay? Who do you receive money from? Modern technology can get all that information back. So it can track those money flows, it can automatically identify features from those money flows, and it can retain that information. And then you can apply various algorithms on top of that, and you can actually get game-changing performance improvements. We have demonstrated this with multiple customers, multiple lines of businesses, from correspondent banking, retail banking, small business banking. It works everywhere with no reconfiguration. So the results we're getting require no rules and no domain knowledge to be put in other than the bank's historic view of risk and SARS, and I'll explain exactly how that works at the moment. We are uncovering the true financial crime baseline. So in all our customers, we're identifying at least a 20% uplift in SAR or L3 level cases, and in many cases up to 100% uplift. So for every criminal they thought they had in the bank that they're monitoring, there is another one that is completely hidden from their detection system. We're driving incredible efficiency gains. So 60 to 95% efficiency gains against the existing transaction monitoring systems, solving backlog headaches, cleaning up the mess, and actually letting their organizations focus on the actual true financial crime risk. And we're identifying high-risk behavior typically a year or before existing systems are finding it. We're testing that based on tip-off data. So where the bank has tip-offs, where they've been told by law enforcement or somewhere in the branch that they may have a financial criminal, our system is picking it up in their transaction behavior a year before those tip-offs. How are we doing it? The key is you don't know what's going on in your customer base. You need to learn it. So we take an AI-first approach. We take all that data, so every single entity will have thousands of behavioral features, including who they pay and who they receive money from. We then build a behavioral map from that. So we don't assume we know anything. We let the AI system build a behavioral map. We visualize that behavioral map, which helps with regulatory oversight and understanding, and they look something like this. This is a real behavioral map based on international correspondent banking data. This is pure behavior. They're like continents, and you've got countries and sub-areas. Every little dot on this is a behavior that the system has identified is consistent and repeatable in the system. Entities live in this behavioral map, and they move around it. Different areas of this behavioral map will have different areas of risk, and movements around this behavioral map will have different risk, which we can discover. So once you've got a map, going back to the old pirate days, what you need to worry about is where are your risks in this map? Where are the dragons? What do I need to worry about? Where are the safe areas of this map, and where are the high-risk areas of this map? This is where we start to put the domain knowledge in, and your historic knowledge as an organization or a bank. So take your history of SARS, your L3s. This also applies to other things like fraud and cybersecurity, but in AML, where are your L3s? Where are your SARS? Where do they live on this map? Do they exist in a certain place? And it turns out they do. So this is the map now risk-orientated, color-coded by where you have found historic money laundering cases in the past, overlaid on the behavior that is specific to this line of business and this geography. This allows you to do amazing things pretty much straight away. You can almost see on the map, but statistically, this is where you get the benefits. You'll find that your existing transaction monitoring system is basically a random noise generator on this map. It just generates alerts all over this map. It's not risk orientated at all. It's a random noise generator. And that is why they generate so many false positives. We can already see here that actually all your highest risk L3s and SARs are clustered in a particular area of this map. This is where all your risk resides. It also even visually starts to show you where you're probably missing things. So in between these areas, there are probably high-risk entities in that group that you're not alerting that maybe have more sophisticated behavior. So how do we do it, and then how do we actually generate alerts from this sort of system? We can take any data, and all the results I presented can be achieved on anonymized data. So one of the amazing discoveries we made from this is you can actually identify pretty much all this money laundering without actually knowing almost anything about the entities. So without the KYC information, just from their transactional behavior, we're able to do this. We automatically generate all the features. So it doesn't matter what the transactions are, what the event types are, it will take those, generate the relationship graph, automatically generate those features, analyze those features, work out which have the most information content, generate the behavioral map, and then overlay risk, and you have a risk-orientated map automatically generated at that point. Then we have various machine learning algorithms that run on top of this to actually generate the alerts. First one is what we call a risk similarity algorithm, which is based on your historic L3 and SARs, and that gives you an extremely high accuracy model for identifying things that are similar to what you found risky in the past. This will massively outperform your existing transaction monitoring system, suppress alerts by up to 95%. But then crucially, we have discovery algorithms, and this is what the real game changer is in AML. You don't know what you don't know. So we have multiple discovery algorithms. We have an anomaly algorithm which looks at that behavioral map and identifies weird structures in that map. What stands out in a particular subgroup? So if one of those subgroups is high FX and cash transactions, that might be a high-risk group, but some of it will be legitimate financial activity. But there might be weird flares or substructures in there which show that that behavior is subtly different, and actually that's where your true money laundering risk may lie. Secondly, we have a model called a hotspot model. And this finds very sophisticated schemes which are somewhat similar to risks that you're identifying in the past, but have managed to work out how to evade your system. So they sit in a behavioral group which is similar to your SAR-based behaviors, but they've managed to shift their behavior or gradually evolve their behavior to lie under the radar of your transaction monitoring systems. And this is where we find a lot of the sort of tip-off based things which are completely evading transaction monitoring systems. And then third, this is probably one of the most sophisticated AI machine learning algorithms out there in the industry at the moment, is a behavior change learning algorithm. It learns all the behavior changes that have existed in your entire population over the last 2 years. It maps their trajectories, and it understands how likely they are. So if I'm a student in my third year of university, I live somewhere on the behavior map. I have a certain probability that my next year's behavior is going to go in a certain direction, and most will. But if I sell my bank account to somebody and I'm leaving the country and I sell it to a mule herder, it will change behavior in a very strange way. It might go dormant for a bit, and then it might come back to life looking more like a small and medium enterprise business, a money movement enterprise. And that will have moved around this map in a very, very strange way. This is completely learning from the data. If those behaviors change, if new behaviors emerge, it will identify them and flag them. Then we have an overall explainability model which pulls it all together and generates an alert in an extremely simple manner for investigators, which looks very, very similar to their kind of existing rules-based alerts. With multiple scores and an orchestration engine to send those alerts to different investigators. So you could have some investigators looking at, for example, your known risks, and some investigators looking at your unknown risks. There's a feedback mechanism which feeds your new SAR and L3 investigations back into the supervised model. So when you discover a new behavior and you investigate that new behavior and you confirm it's risky, that feeds back into the supervised model, and now the supervised model is aware of that new behavior. So it's holistic and it's dynamic. It works on any type of data, and it will discover new risks as well as identify risks you've seen before. 3 of the largest banks in the world are currently rolling out this technology and generating these incredible benefits. We have a small booth outside and would love to talk to you more about what we're doing. And we'd encourage you to sort of get involved in this exciting new way of combating money laundering. Many thanks.
Just wait for the slides to come, or the screen share to come up. Perfect, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, good morning everyone. Welcome along, and it's a pleasure to be speaking here at the summit today. My name's Alistair Whitehair, and I'm part of the business development team at Dwa Financial Technologies, and I also head up our partnerships function there. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why, but nothing beats seeing it in action, so I'll walk you through a couple of use cases on screen. So first of all, Dwa was founded in 2012. We have roughly 60 employees, and those are split across our 3 offices in New York, London, and Sydney. And we count many of the world's largest financial institutions across both sell side and buy side as our clients. And the rule sets that we provide and maintain for them represent a degree of industry consensus, and many of our clients find that comfort in being part of the pack. We were very pleased to be awarded the Regulatory Solutions Provider of the Year again for Global Capital Derivatives Awards earlier this month, and it's really interesting to kind of see how this industry is evolving, and I'll show you a bit more around actually what we do and what we offer as we go on. So Dwa has a platform called Adept, and this can be integrated into front office trading platforms for more pre-trade use cases, and this is via a stateless REST API. And we also have the ability to integrate into post-trade operational systems for things like transaction reporting use cases. Really what we are delivering is the automation of complex decision-making, and that's coupled, though, with unparalleled traceability and transparency into each and every one of those decisions that's made, and that's really why our clients buy our product. This applies to both high-touch and low-latency flows. You get responses back from the decision engine in sub-millisecond times. And we cover around about 250 global regulations, and obviously those span thousands and thousands of individual rules within those. Those typically kind of span regulatory rules, market infrastructure rules, but we can also do exactly the same thing with our platform for internal policies. And really why we do what we do is because we're looking to help firms make the right decision, but at each and every step of the transaction process, from origination through to settlement, etc., you need to be able to prove that the right decision was made. And that's really what we aim to do. So let's now jump into an actual use case of how this would look. So here, this is a demo UI. We would sit under the covers, obviously. So imagine that you are a front office user going through a particular transaction, and you're entering information as we go through. I've pre-populated this in the interest of time, but we have UBS AG facing off against an ABA-based client in Brevin Howard. We have information around our product that we're looking to trade, and lastly, we just need some information around the trade economics. So I'm going to continue here by filling out the last bits, what the notional is at 100 million, and who the fixed pair is. Now, once you've got all of that information, we're going to hit the API, and we're going to get a decision back. So again, this is all under the covers. You get a response back that says, there's a problem here, there's a do not trade signal, and we provide the context around what that issue actually is. So in this particular example, you can see here that this particular type of transaction that was intended to be off facility actually needs to be executed through a swap execution facility. That's provided to the user with the context around things like when was this product made to trade and made available to trade, what options do you have that are regulator approved in this area, so you can then go back to your client, again if this was via a voice transaction for example, and take the appropriate action. We split our regulatory mandates across kind of broad buckets. So we have business conduct. This could be internal or external, so things like trader mandates, which are more internally driven policies, as well as things like MiFID suitability and appropriateness, etc. Clearing and uncleared margin rules, execution mandates, but also reporting. And that goes down into things like obligations around who has the obligation to report, and in which time frame and to which venues. Now, what we do in terms of traceability and transparency that I mentioned is every time I'm hitting the API, you'll see here that I'm getting a unique decision record back. Now, from a legal and compliance user or an operations user, I need the ability to interrogate that decision. So here we have a second component of the Adept platform called the Logic Viewer, which has versioned rules of each of those mandates. I can go ahead here and load in a transaction that was maybe done 6 months or a year ago, in this case a bond option. We see here a list of all of the available mandates that were evaluated at that point in time against the version of the rules that were in force, and that's extremely important. So here we can see that we were in scope for MiFIR transaction reporting, but we can start to ask some questions why. We see here that the product brought us in scope for that. So let's have a little look. Now we have a visualized route path for that transaction through every single decision node that was evaluated. We can start to drill down into a little bit more detail. So this product was deemed to be a financial instrument under MiFID II. Here you have further workflows that are easy to see and read, and you can start to then drill down even further to the level of granularity that you need. Now, this is the really neat bit. For each of the decision nodes that you have, we provide what we call annotation links that will take you through to a structured version of that text. This is not going to be a PDF that you'll see. This is a structured version of that text represented as data. And that annotation link will take you through to the exact pin site of the text, so you can see the black letter of the law, CCP rulebook, internal policy, whatever it might be, that governs that piece of decision making that you saw. And this is where we have our pattern. It takes the structured data linking through to the visualized rules, which are then all machine executable. So that's all I wanted to be able to show you today. In short, Dwell takes that automated complex decision making, and it turns it into a simple, intelligent, repeatable act that's entirely automated. And it's all with the goal of helping our clients take that next best action and really prove at every step of the way that they're doing the right thing. Happy to talk a little bit more about this later on and show the applications of the platform in other areas. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael. I'm from Austria, lately joined the Fintech Systems team. Fintech Systems is an open banking provider that is expert in accessing and analyzing bank transactions, which we also use for solving regulatory requirements. Today I will give you a first impression how powerful it is to understand a person behind a bank account and how we can help enhancing existing service. Fintech System operates on the base of PSD2 license and uses open banking technology in order to access every single bank account in Europe. Always, and that's important to know, with the permission of the account holder, obviously. So PSD2 regulation gave us, third-party providers like Fintech Systems, the legal possibility to retrieve transaction data from private individuals, but also from business bank accounts. Talking about open banking always starts with an end user using a certain service. That might be a BNPL flow, gambling transaction, loan application, or a crypto trade, or even more. It is the task of RegTechs to overcome regulatory burden, fighting fraud, but also securing a unique user experience. At this point, Fintech System can help succeeding by using its PSD2 license and its connectivity to over 6,000 banks and more than 500 million bank accounts in Europe. End users also benefit from our service and by providing access to their bank accounts with fully automated loan applications, frictional person and age verification, a second chance loop after being rejected in BNPL purchases in the first step, and much more. Or with other words, open banking helps in those cases to overcome the unpleasant but necessary burden of KYC checks and turn it into a smoother and smarter customer experience. Let me show you now how we can turn transfer raw transactional data to a meaningful financial report, which helps to understand the person behind the bank account a little bit better. First, we see some core data, some basic details like the name of the account holder, IBAN, if the person is of legal age. Further, we learn a little bit more about the account status. Some balances, some current limits, and so forth. And secondly, or after that, we are able to calculate certain KPIs based on the transactional data we retrieved. With over 240 categories, we easily identify certain transaction types like gambling activities or provide detailed income information, including account holders and counterparties. So it's easy for us to verify where the individual funds come from. On top of that, we can rate the quality of a bank account compared to other accounts we have analyzed so far in the past. For audit purpose, those reports are always time-stamped and show the information under which PSD2 license they were created. If you are still in doubt how RegTech and open banking can help, let me summarize it quickly. By retrieving quality data in real time, we can extend their value proposition both for clients and shareholders. A better client converting rate will result in increasing efficiency and enhanced user experience. Together with a wider product range, it will all in all lead to more revenue, which is also interesting when it comes up to just comply with regulatory requirements. We believe that fulfilling compliance and fighting fraud and a unique user experience shouldn't be mutually exclusive. Thank you very much. If you want to learn more about the power of open banking and what we do, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Manny Cohen, and I'm founder and CEO of Armadillo, and I'd like to welcome you today to the Armadillo Compliance and RegTech Universe. That includes 420 million companies. Yes, 420 million limited liability companies from every registry in the world. We also, in our compliance and verification systems, include 1 billion businesses. That's everything to the family businesses, etc. They're not limited companies, and every adult individual. That's 5 billion approximately worldwide. And the great thing about Armadillo, while I'm standing before you today, next year we are celebrating 25 years of supplying data on the web. And there's not many people that can say that. And we're proud to say we're probably the oldest data supply company on the web, and we're still innovating. And we've been innovating for the last 5 years just within RegTech alone, and because of our years of expertise, we are experts on robotic process automation, that's RPA, and of course compliance AI, which everyone's talking about these days. Now our systems are supplied direct, and also carried by several channel partners, some of whom may be here today, and you won't even know in some cases that you're actually using us. And we're really proud to say that we are on the 2021 list for the RegTech 100. That's 100 of the most innovative companies globally within RegTech. And we are here really to sort of do a demo for you because we supply so many different systems. I'm just going to talk about it holistically. So we actually have a hub we called the Armadillo Hub. It's a RegTech hub, and we're moving towards what we call the golden source, the place to come for everything you need for verification systems, for compliance. And we work with your database, and we supply information of different companies from worldwide registry data, information on individuals and companies through the systems, so we can work within your business, or we can work separate to, or we can build separate and link with. And that's really important. So we supply all kinds of, we can rationalize database with all kinds of information, and we can also work with third-party systems because we already supply third-party systems as well. And we are happy to say that the kind of things that we do, we look at what you need yourself for your compliance and your industry with your reg data. Right, so we even do modules. You can access them separately. Some clients just specifically want one thing. For instance, we do global registry documents, which is a very, very easy to use system. We've just launched in June a PEPs and sanctions and adverse media system, and again, very easy to use, includes complete monitoring throughout the year, so you just have to put the data in, check first, and then just let it do its work. And obviously everyone's talking about client lifecycle, so we take companies, your clients, your clients' clients, straight from the onboarding process right through to the full management and monitoring. And also, we can even include data vaults for information. And we look from an Armadillo point of view, and believe within RegTech, our purpose is to prevent prosecution and fines. We try to assist you with all your regulatory requirements, and ultimately, you have to remember, we're here to prevent money laundering and terrorist financing. We assist you throughout the process, and we try to make sure that you don't end up one of the statistics here. So we try and automate everything. That's a really important thing these days because you don't have enough staff out there. And of course, because you're personally liable, all our clients are personally liable, keeps the money laundering reporting officer out of jail. So here we believe in Armadillo, one word, and that's simplicity. All our systems are easy to use. So come along, ask any questions, win a bottle of champagne and our soft toy Armadillo. Visit us on stand 10. Hope to see you soon. I'm Manny Cohen. Come and talk to me.
Company is a global regulatory technology platform for business verification and KYC. Know your customer and know your business. Company was founded in 2012 in Vienna, Austria. We have an international team coming from more than 10 countries, and we're also licensed by governments in many jurisdictions. Company is the first line of defense for anti-money laundering by providing audit-proof business KYC. Company's solution is audit-proof because company data and business information come directly from primary sources, such as official government registers of companies and businesses, or financial and tax authorities. The data is time-stamped, so clients can have complete confidence that this data is fresh. And the data is a certified true copy, which means the data is not changed in any way. It appears exactly as it does in the official government register. With Company's RegTech platform, clients are seeing compliance-related cost reductions of up to 50% and time reductions of up to 90%. And many clients who have fully integrated Company are now seamlessly performing instant verification, onboarding, and monitoring of their customers. Today, Company has 4 product lines. Company's API platform allows direct integration into ERP, CRM, and core banking systems. Company's cloud-based KYC Workspace portal is used by the back and middle offices of global financial institutions, the insurance industry, and multinational corporations. Company's newest products are the AI-based UBO discovery, which instantly generates the family trees of a target company's shareholders and ultimate beneficial owners. And KYC on-chain records all relevant KYC information in a distributed ledger. Company's uniqueness is in its real-time global network of official registers. This network spans more than 200 jurisdictions and provides business information on over 115 million companies around the world. And this provides access to more than 10 billion company filings, all through one platform. Company is unique in providing access to audit-proof data. Company does not operate static databases. Instead, information from company's real-time network of primary sources is time-stamped when retrieved. This data cannot be altered, and the integrity of the data is thus guaranteed. To learn more about Company, please get in touch.
Brilliant. Thanks to all the presenters that were here presenting in person and everyone that sent over their remote presentations. So we are now going to our networking lunch break. For our in-person delegates, you're welcome to mingle, network, meet the business contacts that you are interested in, and also get some much needed energy for the afternoon and the upcoming sessions. For our virtual delegates, it's a great opportunity to visit our sponsor pages. As mentioned earlier, they have like plenty of games, rewards, and lots of their insights that are available straight on the Brella platform. So do visit them. They have delegates logged in on the booth, so engage with them if you want to find out more. And also use that hour to freshen up, use the networking functionality to connect with the people you want. And then I'll see everyone in an hour for some more demonstration. Thank you.